Tonight, the Princess of Wales appears at her first public engagement since announcing she was being treated for cancer. The occasion, the Trooping the Colour parade to mark the King's official birthday. He is also being treated for cancer.
In Gaza, one of the deadliest incidents for the Israeli military in this war, as 8 soldiers are killed.
Limbering up before their first Euro match against Serbia tomorrow, England captain Harry Kane says they're thinking positive.
Ultimately, we're here to win it, and there will be nothing better for us and the nation itself if we do that.
Good evening. Thousands of people lined the streets of the capital for the Trooping the Colour parade, at which the Princess of Wales made her first official public appearance since announcing that she was being treated for cancer. Catherine joined the rest of the royal family at the annual event to mark the King's official birthday. It's the first royal engagement she's carried out this year. The King, who's also having cancer treatment, travelled by carriage instead of riding on horseback, as he has done in the past. Charlotte Gallagher reports.
A much-anticipated moment, the Princess of Wales back in the public eye. All eyes on her for her first appearance since she announced her cancer diagnosis. She was a huge draw for the crowds in central London today. This is a day full of tradition and spectacle, but it's also about family. The King and Queen in their carriage. It's his first Trooping the Colour since his own cancer diagnosis, and he chose not to travel on horseback. The troops taking part in this annual celebration of the King's official birthday have been rehearsing for months. Every step, drumbeat and musical note has to be perfect. The Irish Guards led the event this year, and their colour, or regimental flag, was on full display. Their royal colonel, the Princess of Wales, looked on with her children as the King took the salute from the parade ground, next to his son and heir to the throne, Prince William, himself the royal colonel of the Welsh Guards. The Princess of Wales only announced she was attending the parade yesterday, and it's a welcome sign about her progress. But this isn't a return to full public duties. Although the weather wasn't ideal, the pageantry of Trooping the Colour was the same, with the King braving the elements outside Buckingham Palace. And as if on cue, the torrential rain stopped just in time for the traditional end to the day, a balcony appearance and fly past. The King and Princess of Wales stood next to each other as they took in the Red Arrows display. A family united after what's been an incredibly difficult 6 months. Charlotte Gallagher, BBC News.
On the eve of England's first match in the Euros, Captain Harry Kane has said the team are here to win as they aim to live up to their name of pre-tournament favourites. Tomorrow night they'll play Serbia. Meanwhile, Scotland are trying to put their 5-1 defeat against Germany behind them. From Gelsenkirchen, here's our sports correspondent, Andy Swiss.
Excited? Just a bit. England fans in bullish mood as they arrived in Gelsenkirchen. Some 40,000 are expected here amid high decibels and high hopes.
England! We'll top the group, then we'll just fly through the tournament and just win it. It'll be great. It's happening. It's coming home. It's coming home, sir. It's coming home. We're
definitely going to win the game against Serbia. I think it's our toughest game. I think we'll win it. We'll win it.
We've been here 2 days and it's been brilliant.
I think this England are going to win the Euros?
Oh, definitely!
Oh, my.
Definitely! When you know. And that's why we got on the plane, because we know it's going to happen.
We know we're going to win it.
We know it's going to happen.
But can England's players live up to that hype? Well, the mood was certainly relaxed in training today, and for captain and manager, staying grounded is now the key.
When you're trying to achieve exceptional things, you have to break it down into manageable chunks, and the first priority is get out of the group and then work from there.
In past tournaments, we've done a lot of things well, and we've made the country proud, and we've had good tournaments. But ultimately, we're here to win it, and there will be nothing better for us and the nation itself if we do that.
Well, not since the World Cup in 1966 have England's men won a major tournament, but they'll emerge here in Gelsenkirchen tomorrow as one of the favourites and ready for another shot at glory.
Some good teams in there. France, we've seen what Germany can do as well. Portugal, if you look at their individual quality they have within their squad as well. It's going to be interesting, but in terms of individual quality, I think England have the best players at the tournament.
For Scotland's fans, meanwhile, it was a case of the morning after the night before. And thrashing by Germany was the cruelest of reality checks. With 2 group games left, Scotland still have hope, but the players could only reflect on a bruising defeat.
It's hard to be positive after what happened last night, and football's got a funny way of keeping you honest. And I think everyone has to accept that's a humbling experience last night. We can't then fall apart, and the objective is still there. If we win the next 2 games, we go through. And that's what we have to think.
As Scotland's fans made a quiet exit from Munich then, England's fans are ready to make a noisy entrance. Andy Swiss, BBC News, Gelsenkirchen.
And there'll be more on today's matches later in the programme. The Israeli army says that 8 of its soldiers have been killed in an explosion in Rafah in southern Gaza. The armed wing of Hamas said it blew up their armoured vehicle with a rocket. Officials from the Hamas-run health ministry say that more than 37,000 Palestinian people have been killed in Gaza since the war began in October. Our correspondent Hugo Beshega joins us now from Jerusalem. And Hugo, this is the deadliest incident for Israeli forces for months. What more do we know about what happened?
Yeah, Rita, so the Israeli army said the armoured vehicle these soldiers were travelling in was hit by a large explosion, and this explosion then triggered the detonation of explosive material that these soldiers were carrying. Now, earlier today, the armed wing of Hamas said it had carried out an attack on an Israeli convoy in Gaza with an anti-tank missile after setting up an ambush. Now, for some, this will raise questions about the Israeli strategy in Gaza, but it really shows how reliant Hamas is on insurgent tactics in Gaza. Reacting to what happened, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu described this war as difficult, but he said the country must cling to the goals of destroying Hamas's military and governing capabilities in Gaza and returning the hostages who remain in captivity. And in Tel Aviv tonight, thousands of people joined yet another protest demanding a deal with Hamas for the hostages to be freed. But major differences between Israel and Hamas remain, and there are no indications of a breakthrough in these talks.
Thank you, Hugo. The Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer has ruled out raising capital gains tax on people's main homes should his party win the election. It comes after the Conservatives repeatedly raised questions about Labour's tax policies. Well, our political correspondent Damien Grammaticus is here. Was this a surprise, Damien?
Not really, Rita, but the interesting thing here is how Sir Keir Starmer has stepped in to try to cut off these Conservative attacks before they can gain traction. Now, we know it's been important to him to say already that Labour, like the Conservatives, would not increase the main taxes, so income tax, VAT, national insurance. But that's left the Conservatives saying, well, what about a raft of other taxes? And this one, on your main home, current situation, if the value goes up, that capital gain, you don't pay any tax on, provided you've lived in it all that time. So Keir Starmer stepping in to say, absolutely guarantee the next Parliament wouldn't happen, hasn't been Labour policy, and he can say that for sure. Conservatives and Liberal Democrats say the same. Conservatives, though, I think, will keep hammering at this because they want to plant that seed of doubt about what might Labour do. Labour retort saying, well, Conservatives haven't been good stewards of the economy and their plans are full of holes. What neither is telling you is that after the election, under all of these plans, the total amount of tax they're going to keep taking from the economy is going to keep growing, and that's something they don't want to trumpet.
Thank you very much. Damien Grammaticus. And the politicians will be quizzed by Laura Kunsberg tomorrow. Here's what's coming up on her show.
We're past the halfway mark now in the election campaign, with less than 20 days for you to make up your mind. Tomorrow morning, politicians of all stripes will be with us, vying to get you on side. We'll speak to Labour, the Conservatives, the leader of the Lib Dems and Plaid Cymru, and I'll be joined by an all-star panel. Look forward to seeing you here on BBC One at 9.
And the Prime Minister has joined world leaders in Switzerland for a two-day summit exploring ways of achieving peace in Ukraine. More than 90 heads of state and government are attending, making it the largest world leader gathering solely focused on Ukraine since the invasion began more than 2 years ago. But Russia has not been invited and China is not attending. Sarah Rainsford reports now from Bergenstock.
Shattering the peace of a Swiss mountainside for the cause of peace in Ukraine. Volodymyr Zelensky came to meet delegations from all over the world, coming together here to begin seeking out a path towards ending the war waged by Russia. Talking peace is new territory for Kiev, but now it's seizing the initiative, hoping for a broad global alliance that can help push for a settlement on Ukraine's terms.
101 states and international organizations are now at the summit. And this is a tremendous success, our success, the common success of all those who believe that a united world, United Nations are stronger than any aggressor.
Russia wasn't at the summit because Ukraine believes scenes like this show Vladimir Putin's not interested in peace, just destruction and domination. Only this week he called on Kyiv to capitulate if it wants a ceasefire.
Do you think that the West has been too scared of Vladimir Putin to actually help Ukraine defeat him?
Well, I'm pleased that the UK has played a leading role in providing support to Ukraine, the first country to provide lethal aid. More recently, under my leadership, the first country to provide main battle tanks, long-range weapons, to train Air Force pilots. That demonstrates the strength of support for Ukraine.
Ukraine's close allies will have to go on doing all that, even as they support the stirrings of a peace process that would have to involve Russia too at some point.
We are looking for the possibility, if this joint plan will be ready, it will be possible to invite a representative of Russia and represent this plan. But this is a very important. Together with all countries, maybe just more, and it will be open dialogue.
The Gulf is huge. The chances of bridging it seem so remote. But far from the devastation in Ukraine, perhaps there is a faint glimmer of hope. Sarah Rainsford, BBC News, Lake Lucerne.
Here, the Home Secretary has asked for a full and urgent explanation after footage showing a police car ramming a cow in Surrey circulated on social media. We are not showing the footage in full as it is distressing. It shows the animal, which is roaming the street, being hit twice by a police vehicle in Staines-upon-Thames. The police have said that they were acting to protect the public. OK, time to catch up with all the sport now, and here's Hugh Ferris at the BBC Sports Centre. Hugh.
Rita, good evening to you. Holders Italy bounced back from conceding the quickest goal in European Championship history to win their opening game of Euro 2024, while Spain had the most impressive victory on day 2 of the tournament in Germany. Ben Croucher rounds up the action.
From Zagreb to Berlin, Croatian fans brought the energy to the German capital. Sadly,
1-0 Spain!
And even when they did get men back, Fabian Ruiz wiggled the way through. But how you finish? Nations may well have been felt back in Bern. Ben Croucher, BBC News.
Former Arsenal and Everton striker Kevin Campbell has died at the age of 54 after a short illness. He won 4 major trophies at Arsenal, while during his time at Goodison Park he became known as Super Kev after helping Everton avoid relegation with crucial goals, some of the 148 he scored for 8 clubs before moving into broadcasting. News today, too, that the Montenegro and Millwall goalkeeper Matija Sarkic has died suddenly at the age of 26. He joined the Championship club from Wolves in August and made 33 appearances last season. Millwall say they are completely devastated. Having secured his position as the new British #1, Jack Draper could win his first ATP Tour title tomorrow after making the final of the Stuttgart Open. He breezed past the American Brandon Nakashima in straight sets in his semi and will meet the former Wimbledon runner-up Matteo Berrettini for the trophy. Meanwhile, in the women's event at the Nottingham Open, bad light curtailed play in the all-British semi-final between Katie Bolter and Emma Raducanu, partly because of an epic first-set tiebreak, won eventually 15 points to 13 by Raducanu. They will continue tomorrow. England have been playing a desperate game against the weather themselves to try and keep their defence of the Cricket T20 World Cup alive. Their must-win game against Namibia was eventually reduced to 10 overs per side in Antigua, with England setting their opponents 127 runs to win. If they lose or there's no result, Scotland will qualify for the next stage of the tournament at England's expense. Namibia need 101 runs from 35 balls. You can follow the final stages of that match via the BBC Sport website and app, but that's it for now. Rita.
Thank you very much, Hugh. And that's also it from me, but there is plenty more on the BBC News website. Good night.